Hey there friend, JhN here. I just want to say thank you for checking out this video. If this is your first time coming to the channel, I really appreciate it. Please do not forget to subscribe. This is my passion. It is my purpose in life. My sole purpose is to evolve spiritually, and one of the ways I'm doing that is by helping others to understand their mindset and to become creators and to spiritually grow themselves. So thank you for subscribing. Ask me any questions you have in the comments section. I'm here to help. So let's get going on today's video, which is all about your mindset, feeling upset and attachment to the past, to the present, and to the future, and how if we have a basic understanding of this stuff, we can find peace in that middle neutral ground and just kind of exist there and see all the fulfillment and beauty and blessings and gratitude while we're there. So let's break down how we do that and a little bit more about the different attachments. I break down 3 different kind of considerations. There is no time in the grand scheme of things, but our mind, our earthly avatar, if you will, perceives in time. We perceive a past, present, and a future. So with past, I know this tremendously so because I had to suffer and kind of move beyond so much past trauma that I personally experienced. If we are experiencing these emotions, any kind of emotions that we experience that are negative, are kind of your signal to yourself. They're kind of a siren going off that you are off your line of peace. Say if this is just the line of peace right here at your chest, and anything below that is you being upset, anything above it is you being pleasured or delightful or joyous or happy or just experiencing some really nice little moments in life. Below that is anything that is upset. So what we're talking about being in the past experiences is when we have emotions of depression, of guilt, of resentment, of regret, of shame. Those kinds of emotions, when you feel those, this is the step you're going to take, is 1, to observe that you are feeling this. Because basically when we are feeling that, we have to notice that we're feeling it first. You may go a whole day of feeling depressed and not even notice it. So 1, observe it. 2, reward yourself for making that observation. Oh man, dude, I'm feeling a little bit regretful about how I made that stupid mistake 3 years ago. Reward yourself and go, oh, I just noticed it. This is what Joe said in that video. So I'm observing myself, feeling that regret, that shame about that mistake. So reward myself. So good job. You noticed that you are observing yourself, that you have come to that place of shame and regret. You're thinking about that past. That's step 2. Step 3 is now go to detective mode. Well, why am I upset? Well, I feel that I have regret about a mistake that I made. Anything that has to do with emotions of the past, we have to see that not even forgiveness is the way, but actually loving ourselves and everything about our past and just seeing it as established and only for us to learn from as we move into the now and to the future. So anything to do with regret, know this. This is what I had to teach myself. I was doing the absolute best I possibly could. No matter what kind of mistakes you may have made, it doesn't freaking matter, okay? I almost swore there because it's that important. It doesn't matter. You were doing your absolute best. So don't forgive yourself, because then that would be you blaming yourself for something you didn't do right when actually you're doing the best you could. If we're doing the best we can, we're not screwing up. We're kind of performing at our optimum level. So now with hindsight and all your new added experience, you can kind of look back and be like, I have shame or regret. That's not the case. So love yourself for who you were back then, because that person enabled you to become who you are now. They're a stepping stone along your staircase of ascension. Okay, I would always look back and think about I blundered with Jess, who was ailing and battling cancer, and then she, was having a really hard night, and I yelled at her one night. And then after she passed, many months afterwards, I would always think about that and be like, you're such a raging idiot. I can't believe you yelled at her. And then I stopped and go, it's weird how your mind is focusing on that one moment and you're having all this regret and this shame and this remorse about that one thing, but you don't want to highlight all the 12,000 examples of you doing really, really well. That's kind of biased, like you're gonna pinpoint that, but nothing else about me being so great and actually doing a really good job. So I know that the ego is BS. It just wants to make me feel bad about that one point. And two, that guy who yelled at her, he was doing the best he could. Considering the circumstances, trying to save his wife's life and all this other stuff, there was a tremendous amount of pressure, and that guy could only handle so much. How dare I judge him? Instead, I'm gonna love him. Not even forgive him, again, because that would be meaning that he did something wrong. I'm gonna love him for who he was, and therefore I'm planting that love inside myself. So anytime you experience those emotions of depression, you're depressed about losing somebody, about life being unfulfilled without them, you have regret, resentment, shame, guilt, anything like that, then you follow those steps and you see that you need to love the previous version of yourself. You need to love the experience, or at least see that it served you in some way. A lot of us have deep-seated trauma, and I understand we're not gonna be like head over heels in love with our trauma, but through the suffering and through the pain, we gained something that we would not have gained due to that, okay? So we're going to love the thing that we gained, not the actual trauma. So I'm becoming this person who's kind of awakening spiritually, who's growing with my mind and my heart because of the pain I suffered. I don't have to love the trauma, I have to love what I gained from it. And that is a mindset of, elevated mindset of gratitude. So then, in that step 3 is you're kind of making that connection. I'm not gonna judge myself. I'm not gonna judge them. I'm not even going to look back at the trauma. I'm going to come to this place of self-love for the entire episode, the entire past, my entire self, knowing it was a vital component to get me to where I am here and now. And here and now, I have opportunity to live the life I choose, and to grow and to heal and to help others. And then we find gratitude. We look in the experience of where we are looking for regret or shame and say, what else came of that? Because you're highlighting one thing. What am I grateful for that experience? Even if it's a traumatic event, something may have gained, like friendships out of it, or a deep bond with a loved one, or a move across country, which then just kind of flourished your personal or career life. So something may have gained. Pinpoint 3 things you are grateful for that came about from your past. So we're taking our mind off what's missing in life and away from that guilt and that shame and that depression, and we're highlighting, after we reward ourselves, we're highlighting the truth that we love that person, we love our past, it's only there to learn from and to reapply lessons moving forward. And then the last step is to come to that place of gratitude. Through this process, you're retraining your mind to not sit there and drag you into that rabbit hole of toxicity, of darkness and sadness and anguish and suffering. So all of those emotions tethered to the past. Let's move on to the present. Present moment's a little bit quicker, but it's the hardest to deal with because our present is unfolding in the now. So we don't have to sit there and have this time to ruminate like we do over the past. In the present, we're actually reacting as a now. So if somebody cuts me off and I get really pissed off, that's an attachment issue. You have to watch the other video on attachment, which I'm gonna link at the end of this now, or I'll link right here and now. So what we're doing with that is knowing that we cannot wish life to be other than what it is. We have to surrender to what life is and find the peace and fulfillment and gratitude and beauty within that moment. Mindfulness, awareness, presence. It's not so easy when somebody almost, crashes into your car, cutting you off. But then in that moment, something like that happens and you're gonna experience these emotions. Impatience, frustration, annoyance, anger. One of those, basically, it's us allowing ourselves to get really upset with how life is unfolding around us. Somebody says something snotty, we get real mad and defensive. Somebody doesn't show up to work on time and you're counting on them and you have an appointment, you're real impatient. There's a super long line, they're out of the sandwich you want. You're reacting in the moment and you're basically super upset with how life is instead of or you're super upset with what life is not instead of what it is. So in that moment, you're going to realize the same thing. First step, observation. Okay, I'm really pissed off here. Step one, okay, we observed that I'm pissed off. Step two, reward yourself. Good job, Joe. We're seeing that we're angry. Now why? Step three, go into detective mode. Well, I'm super pissed off because I came to the grocery store to get almond milk and they of course don't have almond milk. So now we play detective when we find what triggered that negative emotion. Next step is to say this. It's always going to be, the answer is yes. Do I have attachment in this particular moment? Am I expecting life to be other than what it is? The answer is always going to be yes if you're suffering from those emotions. I came to the grocery store with expectations for them to have that almond milk. They did not. Now I am triggered by having a negative emotional experience. Instead of just being at peace with the fact that I have the opportunity to go to another store or maybe get an alternative milk substitute. I have a lot of different options here, but I don't have to be emotionally triggered. I can just see that they are out of milk, go through these steps and go, okay, I am being triggered because I have attachment. So the truth of the thing is that it's not that they're out of almond milk. It's that I desire them not to be out of almond milk. That is frustrating me or giving me anger. Once you make that realization mentally, let it go. Breathe out, let go of the attachment, center in and say, now we just have to explore solutions peacefully. And then ask yourself, what would that look like? And then you will find a solution to get out of that. Somebody cuts you off in their car, you get all pissed off, right? You rage, same steps. Okay, feeling all pissed off here because that guy cut me off 7 minutes ago. Observed that. Okay, good, I feel it. Nice, good job. We are retraining ourselves. Good job by having that mental awareness. 3, do I have attachment? What triggered that? Well, because he cut me off and I expected him not to cut me off. Okay, so you have attachment in life. You expected life to be other than what it is. So now we center in that people are just gonna drive how they're gonna drive, no matter the laws and no matter how you want them to drive, and we can just find peace on our journey and not be triggered by everybody else's driving. Then we let go, we breathe that out, center in on awareness, and then move forward to finding solution if need be. So that is the present moment. Now let's move on to the future. Future emotions, anxiety, worry, stress, panic. We are considering a future and we want to control it. Those emotions are triggered to that we want some kind of control over what's to come. The best part about the future is it's the easiest to control. The past is hard because it's kind of been ingrained in us for a long time sometimes, and it's deep-seated anguish and suffering. The present moment is really, really hard because we're basically in the ring with our ego in the moment, so we can't just step away and have that time release or pocket there between us as a buffer so that we can kind of process everything. We have to be instinctual and reactive in that moment to kind of find that awareness. The future is the best one because it hasn't even happened. And so we're not actually suffering with any turmoil or anguish or grief, and we're not actually battling the thing that we're worried about or stressed or anxious over. It hasn't even unfolded yet, and usually it won't ever do it. So when we find ourselves experiencing those emotions, same process. 1, observation, stressed out, anxious, right? I'm hosting a party and it's COVID season and I'm gonna have all these people in my house and I'm kind of anxious, but am I gonna get COVID, this, that, and the other? Find the observation point. 1, I'm seeing that I'm experiencing anxiety. 2, good job, Joe. We've noticed that we're experiencing anxiety, and through that observation, we're retraining the mind. Step 3 is to play detective. Well, what triggered us? Well, it's the anxiety about the party. Okay, so then 4 is, what is real? Is your mind taking you to negative possible outcomes, or neutral possible outcomes, or positive possible outcomes? Well, it's only taking me to negative ones. That's kind of illuminating. It's not pointing out that maybe the party will just be fine. Or maybe the party will be a huge raving success and nobody gets COVID and everybody has a great time. Or maybe it just be a regular ass party, you know, just everyone's having a fine time and it's great and chill. But no, my mind is thinking that people are not gonna show up, that the kids are gonna run rampant, that everybody's gonna get COVID. So it's blanketing my future in a negative outcome. So what I'm gonna do is, in order to balance the scales there is that I'm going to foreshadow a supremely positive outcome. So I'm going to see everybody showing up and having the time of their life. The food's amazing. The people are all smiling and laughing and dancing. Everyone's getting along. Everyone's healthy. No one gets COVID. I'm actually going to visualize and talk myself, narrate myself through that experience to counterbalance that negative possibility that my ego painted, which then gave me anxiety and stress. And I'm going to say, you know what? If we're talking about predicting the future and you want to get anxious over here, Mr. Ego Thinking Mind, I'm going to forecast a really supremely positive event. So much so that I'm going to embellish and I'm going to actually just go really supremely positive, and I'm going to pretend that a rock star is going to show up and do a live performance because he's friends with one of the guests. And I'm actually going to see a taco truck is driving down the street and sees our party and comes and gives everybody free tacos. I'm going to go and fabricate this awesome, profound, positive experience. And in doing so, that creation of that positive experience, that mental fabrication, I am literally just mocking and suffocating, in a sense, the attempts of the ego to take me into what the anxious thoughts are tethered to, of everything possibly falling apart, people getting sick, all the negative. It's literally this visualization of being super positive engulfs the other one, swallows it up and just poops it out. It goes away. It's kind of like a big bully in the schoolyard. He's picking on one person and then the whole group around that bully all start laughing at the bully. For no reason, just start laughing at the bully. What does the bully do? It's just gone. Its attempts, everything it's trying to do, the winds are out of its sails, and he or she retreats in failure. That's the same thing we're doing with the ego by illuminating this super positive outcome. And it's gonna do something that makes you laugh, makes you feel good, something funny. It's gonna be tremendous, and you'll see a big shift. And then what you're gonna do there is hold on to that visualization, okay? And you're gonna feel good. You're gonna see that the anxiety and the stress just kind of dissipate. And what's gonna happen is 5, 10, 20 minutes are gonna pass. The ego, that thinking mind, is gonna try to drag you back into that negative consideration and just have that same conversation. Be like, no, we already discussed this. The party's gonna be blank, 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 and really formulate that super positive experience again. The ego's gonna stop trying to drag you into the stress because it's lost that battle. So those are the 3 different things that you can do just to experience some peace. That peaceful mindset is really amazing in and of itself. But from there, you're establishing a foundation, a very powerful and mindful foundation where you're just kind of riding out that peaceful wave. But in addition to that, you can have positive thoughts, visualizations, affirmations to manifest a future reality that you wish. You could also connect to spirit on a deeper level by going into the meditative state, by just being very wakeful meditations out about in nature or with others. You can listen to people more. You can experience more vibrancy in life. Your senses will come alive and you'll experience a deeper level of your experience here on earth. So it's a tremendous value to find that mindful state of being, as long as you know when you are triggered, and you could return to it if you are triggered. And those are the 3 ways with the past, present, and future. So let me know if that helps, if that makes sense. I went fast here, but I was kind of shooting from the hip, recording all this for you beautiful folks right here. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for subscribing, and I will link that attachment video here. Definitely check that out. It will make a tremendous difference in how often you become frustrated, impatient, angry, annoyed, and so forth for being in that present moment. I love you all. I'll see you next video. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Bye-bye.